Hello everyone, I am Rob. I am also quite sick tonight with a bad cold that has deteriorated my voice to the current state it's in. So, if it's hard to understand me, I deeply apologize. Today is May the 4th be with you. May 4th, 2017. It is a night for Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. The adventure, Dark Days in Stoneholm. The group, still continuing on with the adventures of Terran, Glim, Geth, Auric, and Glug, with a new party member joining the group, Otto the Bard, the replacement for Steth the Fighter, who was the replacement for his prior character as well. So, on we go. The group had been battered after a rather disastrous encounter with a group of goblins involving a trap that was set off by Steth. The encounter led to Steth's death. The group pulled back to lick their wounds and try to get some rest. However, during the long rest that they took, they kept hearing sounds of battle, goblin screams mostly. Eventually, it became Glim's turn, and he was compelled to go away from the party. He eventually discovered a single dwarf standing in a cavern full of dead goblins, and having a long silver beard and a mighty axe. He felt compelled to listen to this person who ordered him to bring his party back to this room, which he proceeded to do. There, the person basically identified himself as the patron of Glim, Cleggan Silverbeard, or at least an avatar of his, who quickly whipped the party through training. It's pity leveling, really. If they were in a position, they were in distinct danger of dying if they were still at first level, and they would have had to pull out and walk back 2 days' trip through a dangerous underground at first level, just to get training to come back and have a chance. It was time to step in with divine intervention. They were all trained up, while Clangadin was somewhat dismissive of their various talents. He did give them their extra level. The Sorcerer Geth got it by a special battery that supercharges powers, the rest of them through basic rigorous exercise and intimidation. So, eventually the party ran into a war party of goblins, but they snuck up on them because I was rolling terribly for their perceptions. They were able to creep up on the goblins and immediately start mauling them. By luring them to the tunnel, Glug doing a terrible job of acting like a wounded and helpless person, and the rest of the party jumping out and slaughtering the goblins. Glug managed to get a couple with his hand axes before the others came in and started helping out. And the halberd of Terran ended up felling several critical backstabs are nasty, as it turns out, and several of the rest of the party helped in. About this time, the full group had shown up at this time, and the player who had to replace his character rolled up Otto. While he was still looking at his character, I glanced at his pertinent information and decided to insert him into the game. I had the party find a room full of 20 drunken goblins who were having a party. In a cage in the middle of the room, there was the half-elven bard who they were tormenting. The party at first decided that they were incensed because they were wasting all the alcohol. The goblins had tapped several kegs of dwarven ale. However, after further review, Glug decided that the alcohol waste was more than warranted, sitting back and playing safe, and tried to lure them into a numbers game, and he charged into the goblins. The party learned quickly that when Glug is raging, he can absorb a tremendous amount of damage that can be healed with a relatively small amount of magic. They bottled up the 20 goblins and killed them without very much difficulty at all, honestly. The goblins were minions and were not able to defend themselves very well with the pitiful weapons that they had. It was mostly to give the party a chance to meet Otto and to free him. The slaughter took place. Basically, everybody had a chance to kill themselves some goblins. Even Otto managed to insult a few to death, and he joined the party. The party found some treasure, and Oryx's character, Oryx's player, found his birthday present that he lost with the TPK. I decided to give him a ring. This ring, as a matter of fact, something that I bought myself and thought it was too cool, so I made it into a magical item for him, which he has not played around with yet. So, colds suck. So at any rate, going over the combat list, the party basically worked together to slaughter the goblins. After Glug made the initial strategy moot, the group moved in and all of them got to use their set abilities. The one funny thing about the fight was that Glim, despite the fact that he follows a god of war, could not hit anything. He tried 5-6 consecutive times failing to hit a goblin until he finally got lucky with his last swing of the fight and crushed one. But that was enough to earn a quick ballad of a grazing mace sung out for him, and everybody enjoyed it. For the most part, outside of his futility, the luck swung all over the place. There were a number of ones rolled out of the blue. People were just missing goblins left and right because they're sneaky little gits who are hard to hit sometimes. So then the group finally found the main living quarters of the Felltooth goblins. They weren't really home at this point, but they were guarding the evil demon temple area. So the group charged over open ground to attack the ones who were hiding behind their goblin ballistas, which are heavy crossbows. And Glug took a nasty shot. They hadn't fully healed him, and the ballista shot injured him quite significantly. By the time he ran up, the goblins were able to fight back using javelins and crossbows, and they did drop Glug before they could heal him back up. However, as Terran moved up and commanded the battle area, the others firing around him, the goblins eventually stacked up their casualties. The two remaining ones fled. One was hewn down from behind, the other one escaped up the stairs. The goblins now know that there's a party of adventurers who are attacking their area. So, the party rested for an hour. By the grace of Clygadon, no wandering monster goblins came in, just to give them a chance to get their breath back. They didn't have time to take a long rest, otherwise they probably would have been attacked by the goblins in force, and a near insurmountable number of them. So, the party pressed on. At this point, Otto's player had to leave, so they had to do without him for a little bit. Up the stairs, leading deeper into the network, they fought a pair of goblins who were standing atop a stair with bows to attack, and they also had a pair of giant dire rats who could slip through shadows to glide in amongst the group. It made for a pitched fight. Nothing too drastic, although I believe Oryx took some nasty damage from rat bite, and Terran took a couple of shots. The goblins were rolling rather well to hit them, even though he has a very good armor class of 17. Goblins have decent dexterity, and at range, they were pegging him without too much difficulty. I was getting a lot of 15s, 16s, and 17s, which is just enough to hit his armor class at present. And so I believe he's bloodied if he hasn't spent his second wind. Since the party is now second level, they are able to absorb more punishment, but Glug has already used his hit dice for his rest. I believe that Glim has as well. So it'll be interesting to see how they go from this point on. I also believe they're running low on their healing magics, and this is just at the doorway of the compound. So if they were planning on one big pitched fight, well, that'll be interesting. So, that was the adventure as in May the 4th. A little weird that we didn't do Star Wars, but it's not that big of a day that I believe in breaking with my usual rotation to go and do something. to make new characters and start up something for a night. So we just did what we did. I am almost out of voice, so I am going to say goodnight to all of you. I am Rob, here at the Lair of OmnusI, and wishing you all safe adventures.